Hello everyone, today we have new video review, and as you can see, today we are going to talk about fresh release from ICM, and that's a kit which is made in 1/32 scale. It's an aircraft kit obviously, and it copies Stearman PT-17 and 2S-3 Kaydet, so it's American training aircraft. And here we have a commercial sample, so it means you'll get exactly the same stuff as what you'll see in this video review. We are going to open it together and check what is actually supplied in this kit. As for the packaging, I can say straight away that it is quite standard for ICM. Here you can see comparison with my hand, it's not that big. And we have nice box art on the front. Then here we have some information about this kit, and just give me a second. So there are 92 parts for assembly of this aircraft, and even though this is a 1/32 scale model, still finished kit shouldn't be a really huge build, and that's really surprising in my opinion. And on the opposite side we have profiles for the same marking as what we saw on the box art. ICM started recently to put the seals on this top lid, so that's why I'm going to use sharp knife in order to cut it off, because otherwise we won't be able to open it. And then we will take a closer look at what is actually supplied here and why this kit should be interesting for all aviation fans in 1/32 scale. I mean, it's really interesting to see that I would say plenty of various brands decided to go into 1/32 scale market, because a lot of modelers were actually surprised by this. They were asking for it for some time, and now finally we have something happening. So here you can see this thin cardboard cover, which actually does not provide any protection. It's more for, I would say, art purposes. Here we have a box which will actually protect everything inside, and if we open it, here is what we have inside. So all frames are packed into the same plastic bag, as you can see. Then on the bottom we have assembly manual, and there are some papers, but we will check it a bit later. We are going to start with plastic traditionally, and then gradually we will move on to the next components. Now I need to open this plastic bag. It's a resealable plastic bag, so just give me a second. Okay. In the meantime, let me remind you that you can find photo review. It will be published a bit later in the video description below, and of course you can support us financially. It is quite easy thing to do because we have special support button on our website. It is bright red button on the right side of the website, and whole donation thing is done via PayPal, so you will be able to choose how much you are ready to send us, and all this money will be used for new photo and video equipment. And I think it will be really interesting for both of us, because we will be able to touch new kits which are inaccessible for us at the moment, and we also were able to improve various equipment. For example, we bought a new video light with your help. So here you can see first gray plastic sprue. This one is dedicated to engine parts, and it's really detailed, I would say. For 1/32 scale kit, out of the box you get quite impressive attention to small details. Of course, there will be some aftermarket sets, PE sets, which will enhance appearance even more, but I think it's more than enough for out-of-the-box build. And if you flip it over here inside, you can notice that we have some guiding elements inside. For example, here we have some pins, so these two halves should be combined together. But other than that, everything looks nice, and I don't have any complaints about these parts. Next, we go on with fuselage halves. So these ones are slightly bigger, that's why we have to zoom out a bit. So here we have quite interesting design, because as you can see, these are two halves, but the left one comes with a tail fin, and we have really nice external detailing here. It copies this, I would say, foil on the structure. And if you flip it over here inside, you can notice that we also have nice ribbed surface. I can zoom in so that you can see it closer. Of course, we have some guiding elements here. For example, you can see guiding pins, and here as well, and the same goes on with this half from the opposite side. As far as I can understand, the cockpit will be assembled separately, inserted here. We will have to check the assembly manual in order to be sure, but still it looks quite nice, and I hope it will be easy to combine together these two parts. And next we go on with this gray plastic sprue. It is slightly bigger, I would say. So here we have wing parts and also various cockpit elements, so we should zoom out a bit. And now you should be able to see. So first of all, this is a biplane. That's why we are going to have several wings. Here we have one of them, and note that ailerons are molded separately. Here we have some parts for the cockpit. So cockpit walls are quite thin. We will zoom in a second so that you can understand what I'm talking about. Here it is. So that's a cockpit wall, and as you can see, attachment points are really thin, so it's better to use plastic, so in case you don't want to damage it. Here we have also instrument panel, and here I would rather recommend to go with some PE accessory set. I hope Eduard will release something. Here we have also one-piece pilot seats, propellers, two types of them, and here we have also the cockpit frame, which is also molded as a thin one-piece element, and again it will require some due care, because otherwise you'll have a really funny time repairing all this stuff. And if we flip it over, here inside you can notice that we have guiding pins for large wing halves, and that's really cool because they're really big. Here you can see comparison with my hand. Even though I said in 1/32 scale it won't take a lot of space, still it will be a considerable sized model, so do not underestimate it just because it doesn't have, I would say, traditional 1/32 scale dimensions. Here we go on with another plastic bag. This one is dedicated to clear plastic sprue. So obviously it is done in order to avoid possible scratches here. And we are going to zoom in a bit. Now you should be able to see that we have here two windshields and also some minor clear parts which will be going on the aircraft as well. Molding quality looks great. I don't have any issues with what we get here out of the box. I'm not sure if masks are supplied. We'll have to check the assembly manual, because recently ICM started to include special templates for the masks, which are more than enough in my opinion, because you are able to do to cut off masks in a bit faster fashion, and you won't have to spend extra time trying to get the right shape. So here we will have to investigate this thing. And on the table now you can see the last gray plastic sprue. So that's a top wing as far as I can understand, and also we have separate ailerons for the lower wing. Here we have the top fuselage panel, which is molded as a one piece. As you can see, you won't have seams in such visible area, and that's really cool because it will speed up the assembly process. Landing gear wheels are separated into two halves, and I honestly hope that we will see some resin upgrade for this, because this kit deserves better wheels, but this one should be more than enough for out of the box build. And inside we have guiding pins, which will be also helpful, and as for the wheels we have raised tabs, which will be also acting as a guiding elements during assembly. Okay, so that was the last gray plastic sprue. Now we move on with assembly manual, but first of all, in the assembly manual we have the Decals sheet, and there is no mention where it was printed. And as far as I can see, there are no decals. No, there are actually two decals for instrument panel, but that's pretty much all what you can get here for the cockpit. So as I said, if you would like to have even more detailed cockpit, you will have to spend some time painting and weathering, or maybe even upgrading for some additional PE parts. But printing quality here is really nice. I'm not sure how many marking options are included, so we will have to check it, but what we get on decals looks good. Next we have also a small brochure with dog, and okay, you will read it yourself, okay? I mean, it is nice PR. So and by the way, it is related to problems which you had with some of the ICM kits. I told you that it is better to write to ICM support, so believe me, they will be helpful. So don't be, I would say, don't underestimate their support. They are really helpful sometimes. And last but not the least is the assembly manual. So this one comes in form of color printed brochure. Its design was updated recently, and here I have to close the lenses a bit to reduce the ISO, because otherwise you will be blinded because of this white paper. So here we have short history, no technical specifications and paints chart, also some safety advices. Next we go on with parts map, and here we continue with assembly process. So everything starts with cockpit, obviously. Then you continue by assembling this cage together and installing the pilot seat and co-pilot seat here. Next, we continue by detailing fuselage halves, and note that fuselage halves are assembled without cockpit. It is really interesting. I guess it will be inserted later. So let's flip over the page. Here we install the lower panel. And next, yes, we insert the cockpit from the bottom. No, from the nose section. That's really interesting sequence for the assembly process. Note that instrument panels are attached to the top cover, which will be installed later here. Then we continue with cooling parts. We install the engine firewall. Here we assemble the landing gear. And next we go on with tail wings. It is quite interesting. We jump from one section to another, then to the tail. I wonder why. Next we continue with wing assembly, which is installed from the bottom, and with installed landing gear. It is really interesting sequence, to be honest. So as you remember, we have separate ailerons, then we install canopy. Obviously canopy will be installed on the last steps by professionals. Next we continue with top wing and special struts which will be holding it in place. Here we install it onto the lower wing. Then we start with engine exhausts, and each will be installed separately. Then we start installing various parts for this engine. Here we continue by the engine block. So as you can see, engine should be assembled out of several parts, so don't forget about these minor components which will be inserted from the inside, by the way. And next you have a choice between two propeller types. One is applicable only for one marking option, so I guess there are 3 marking options. Next we have masks guide, so you can just use it as a template and cut off your own masks. That's a really handy thing. Of course, you will have to do some rigging on this aircraft, so don't forget about it. And here we start with marking options. So first one is the same as what we saw on the box art. It is from 1942. Another one is from 1943, gray aircraft. And here we have another one, gray-yellow. It is from 1944. Obviously, nobody stops you from getting some aftermarket set with alternative markings in case you don't like what you get here. And this kit should be already available. You can get it on Modelimex webshop, for example. Of course, I will be happy to hear your opinion about this set here in the comment section below. If you like this video, don't forget to press the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And I will see you in the next video review as usual. Thank you for joining me today, and I will see you soon. Bye.